we're going to start off, just like we did with pencil, making a value scale. I'm going to make 6 boxes of equal size, just like last time. And just like last time, don't measure them, just draw them. You need to be able to estimate. And then I can number them again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there are many different ways to render with pen, and the first one that we could do is cross-hatching. I'm going to start just like last time. Remember, the 1 is always going to be the white of your paper. You never have to do anything in the number 1 square. Number 6, I'm just going to make some lines going at a diagonal, and I'm freehanding them, not using my triangle. And then go back the other way. And I can keep going over and over until it gets to a solid black, almost solid black. So the thing about pen and ink, a lot of people don't like it because they can't erase and they also can't blend. The way that we show value isn't with change in pressure like with the pencil. Instead, it's the space between the marks that we make. As you have probably already noticed, pen and ink takes a while to do. And so I have 3 different value scales here that I've already done. Should probably number these as well. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then 1, of course, is just the white of the paper. This is stipple. Stipple is great. You just make little dots. It's really great for showing detail, but it does take a long time to do. If you've never done it before, I definitely recommend that you do a value scale like that. This one is all vertical lines. This is great for doing any type of architectural renderings. I love doing the vertical lines. You just use a triangle and make vertical lines. And this is cross-hatching, similar to what I was just doing earlier. No triangle, just freehand it. I'm going to put these up here. And let's start on some of our shapes, and we're going to do just what we did last time with pencil, except we're going to render in pen. And I'll try out a couple of the different pen and ink techniques on each of these. So let's start with our cube. And again, we can map this out just like we did last time, just to remind you. And we have the light coming from this way. So our value number 1 is going to be here, and value number 2 would be there. This whole front side, oh, I'm sorry, that means this is my light side. This is going to be my medium side, and so I'm going to use tone number 3. This is going to be my dark side, so I'm going to use tone number 5, and then it's going to go down to 4, and my cast shadow is of course 6, and then it becomes 5. And I think I will use, let's see, I'll use my cross-hatching for this one. Let's see, let's start with this side. Because remember, I can't erase, so I want to be pretty careful about not going too dark too quickly. And if I look at this, I want this to be a 5 and that to be a 4, a little bit more. This should be a 3. Cross-hatching is probably the quickest way to shade with a pen and ink. And we do use pen and ink a good amount of time in drawings, architectural and interior design renderings. And the reason is that sometimes you don't know what your color and material choices are yet. And so you need to show the design of a room without showing any color. And this is pretty scribbly, but I think You can keep playing with this for as long as you like. I think I'm going to call this one done. All right, let's go to a circle. Always use your circle template whenever you draw anything that's a sphere or a circle. It's pretty much impossible to draw one freehand that's perfect, so you will drive yourself crazy trying. Just use your template. Once again, in concentric circles, we're going to map it out. 1 is the highlight, and then 2, and then 3. I'm having my light come like this. 5 with just a little bit of the reflected light as 4, 6, 5. This time, I think I'll use stipple, which is wonderful. This might take a teeny bit longer than the other one. But I think you'll see how beautiful it is. One thing you can do to speed up the process of stipple is to use a pen with a thicker point to it, which is something I'm probably going to do soon. And so one of the things that we haven't talked about yet, some of the principles behind what we're doing, is that things will always be lighter closer to you and darker farther away. That's why when we do these shapes, we make the part that's closest to us lighter and then let it get darker as it goes away. Something that you see a lot in the in the cone and the cylinder. This is already taking too long. Let me find a thicker pen. Let's see. And that's one of the nice things about these microns and also the Copic ones is that they come in different sizes. I don't know that I'm going to finish this one. I think what you should probably do is check the book for a finished version. I'm going to show each one of these shapes in each one of these different types, different styles of pen and ink. Some stipple, some crosshatch, some vertical lines, and probably the hardest thing that you could possibly do if you're looking to challenge yourself would be to do a sphere with all vertical lines. The reason is the vertical lines are really kind of flattening out the picture plane, so it makes it harder to do. Let's move on to our cylinder. And this one, I'm going to use the vertical lines. It's perfect for the cylinder. And mapping it out, if the light is coming from the top, I'll use a 1. And as I was just saying, it's closer to us here, and that's why it goes from a 1 to a 2, which is something I also did in the cube, but didn't really talk about it. Shadows, of course, 6 to 5. In the middle here, we'll do a 3, and then a 5, and a 4, and a 5, and a 4, and that is because, once again, it's how we show that if it's lighter in the middle and darker on the sides, it will look 3D. So let's do some of this. I think that using the all vertical lines tends to look very architectural. I think it looks good. I love it. It's a good look. Very stylized. And let's make it darker here. And shadow. That's definitely not dark enough. That's not a 6. Whenever you get lost, look back at your value scale. That's what it's there for. Remember to check, what does a value 3 look like? What does a value 2 look like? And I think it still needs to be a little darker. Maybe even cheat a little on freehand. There we go. Let's go to the cone. Once again, lighter closer to you, darker farther away. That's something that you'll hear me say a lot. So with the cone, I'm gonna have my lightest light just right in the middle, 1, and then I'll let it get 2, 3, 5, 4, 3, 5, maybe a little bit of a 4 over there, 6, 5, and then let's see what that looks like. And with this one, I'm gonna do the crosshatch again just because it's the quickest. But as I said before, check the book to see each one of these shapes rendered in each one of the styles. I should also say that there are pretty much endless styles that you can do with pen and ink. You can just do little scribbly lines, sometimes looks fantastic. And one of the cool things about pen and ink is that it really starts to show your style as a designer and as an artist. I definitely recommend using pen and ink in your sketchbooks, which you are, of course, taking with you everywhere, drawing all the time. Let's see, I think that's good enough. So what we were just talking about things being closer, lighter closer to you, darker farther away. Think of this as a column. You can see this is how you should always render any type of column, lighter in the center and then darker on the sides. And now I think we're about ready to move on to marker.